Story 21. The first job. Esperanza has to find a job to help out the family, especially to pay for her school. Her father says that nobody went to public school unless you wanted to turn out bad. One day, after coming home all wet from flirtatiously allowing a boy to push her into an open fire hydrant, her Aunt Lala tells her that she's found a job for her. Esperanza will be working at the Peter Pan Photo Finishers, but she has to lie about her age so she can work there. Her job is fairly simple. All she has to do is match up negatives to their photographs. And of course, this was way before we started using digital cameras. Esperanza is very insecure about these new people at the job, and she's afraid to even sit down on the job because no one told her she could, so she's all nervous. She doesn't know what to do. And she's also afraid to eat in the lunchroom with the other workers there, so when it's break time, she eats her lunch real quick in the bathroom. Yummy. An older Oriental man befriends Esperanza and tells her to meet him in the lunchroom the next time she has a break. So she does. And then on page 55, I'm going to read you a little excerpt of what that encounter was like. She said that he had nice eyes, right? Remember, this is an older gentleman. He had nice eyes, and I didn't feel so nervous anymore. Then he asked if I knew what day it was, and when I said I didn't, he said it was his birthday, and would I please give him a birthday kiss? I thought I would, because he was so old, and just as I was about to put my lips on his cheek, he grabs my face with both hands and kisses me hard on the mouth, and doesn't let go. There's a lot I could say about that, but I'm probably just going to hold my tongue a little bit. But that was a pretty devastating event for Esperanza. I mean, that would be devastating for any young person, male or female, to have to deal with. He not only stole Esperanza's first kiss, but he stole a little bit of her innocence as well. And it's just an awful and disgusting memory to leave with a young girl. I should know because I've experienced something very similar to that. And it scars you. It traumatizes you, and it's not a good feeling. So I definitely could relate to Esperanza, especially in this scenario. Story 22. Papa who wakes up tired in the dark. My papa, his thick hands and thick shoes, who wakes up tired in the dark, who combs his hair with water, drinks his coffee, and is gone before we wake. Today is sitting on my bed. Just like the chapter titled Hairs, where Esperanza focuses on one aspect of her mother, which her mother's hair, which smells like bread. In this chapter, she focuses on her father. Now, early one morning, her dad wakes her up to tell her that her grandfather is dead. Her father begins to cry, and Esperanza has never seen her father cry before. She shows her maturity by just holding her papa in her arms and letting him cry on her shoulder. Because she is the oldest, she'll have to tell the other children and explain why they have to be quiet today. And of course, they have to be quiet because the adults are in mourning. Anyone who understands the concept of death and everything, they know that this has to be a time of mourning. Story 23. Born Bad. Most likely, I will go to hell, and most likely, I deserve to be there. My mother says I was born on an evil day and prays for me. Lucy and Rachel pray too, for ourselves and for each other, because of what we did to Aunt Lupe. Wow, that's pretty serious. She thinks she deserves to go to hell. Well, let's find out what she did to Aunt Lupe. Esperanza remembers her aunt, Guadalupe, Lupe for short. She used to be a swimmer with great-looking legs before she became ill with a disease that supposedly was inflicted when she fell very hard from a high place. The author doesn't get too specific, and she doesn't tell us, she doesn't name the disease that Aunt Lupe has. But I figure it's something like lupus, maybe? I'm not sure. Esperanza has only known the sick version of her aunt, who is always bent and, wrinkled, and she's always lying in bed when Esperanza sees her. Esperanza used to go visit her aunt and read to her. And she remembers one particular time where she felt ashamed because she was trying to show her aunt a picture, but she didn't realize that her Aunt Lupe was blind. She even shared her original poetry with her aunt. And I'll read that poem for you. It's on page 60. I want to be like the waves on the sea, like the clouds in the wind, but I'm me. One day I'll jump out of my skin. I'll shake the sky like 100 violins. That's nice. That's very good, she said in her tired voice. You just remember to keep writing, Esperanza. You must keep writing. It will keep you free. And I said yes, but at that time, I didn't know what she meant. And that kind of makes sense. I think you guys will understand what Aunt Lupe meant by keep writing, it'll keep you free. Because writing is such a great form of expression. Just simple things from just writing in a journal every day to express your thoughts and your feelings. And it's not something that anyone else has to read. It's just something for you to get your thoughts and feelings out. And it really does help you feel better, especially when you're not feeling too great, you're angry or sad or something like that. Also, like, as far as poetry goes, you don't have to be like some great poet. A poem doesn't have to rhyme every line or anything like that. It's just an expression of your feelings. So, I want to help those people out there who absolutely hate poetry or whose English teachers have made them hate poetry because they have to follow a strict form, a strict pattern. No, there's styles that are called freestyle, right? So you just write. However the words flow, however they come out, that's your poem. Enough said. Okay, so back to Born Bad, Esperanza and her aunt. I just thought that quote about, writing and how it keeps you free is pretty powerful, because just for those reasons, it's a great form of expression. When Esperanza mentions what they do to Aunt Lupe at the beginning of the chapter, she's referring to an imitation game that she and her friends played. And coincidentally, on the day that Aunt Lupe died, Esperanza and the girls chose her to imitate. And they were laughing and carrying on and, just making fun of how Aunt Lupe is all crippled and blind and things like that. Well, after her aunt died, Esperanza realized that, oh my gosh, what we did was a really terrible thing. It was something that was very inappropriate to do. She realized that it was tough for Lupe's kids to grow up with a mom that couldn't really take care of them. And then, of course, it was tough for her husband, for any husband to have to watch their wife go through such suffering and disease like that. So, Esperanza sees that was nothing that should have been made fun of because it was a very serious issue. Story 24. Elenita, cards, palm, water. Esperanza goes to see a witch woman, a psychic. She makes Esperanza get a glass of hot water and asks her if she sees anything in it. Esperanza says she doesn't see anything except bubbles. She then does a tarot card reading, and Esperanza wants to know about a house that she would live in the future. Elenita tells her that all she sees is a home in the heart. And we know by now that is not what Esperanza wanted to hear. Esperanza wanted to hear about this big, beautiful house that she wishes to live in someday. Something very, very different from where they live now on Mango Street. So Esperanza is a little disappointed, and she doesn't quite understand what a home in the heart means. And of course, I think that goes along with wherever your heart is, that's where your home is. So you make your home where you're the most comfortable and where you're the most happy, period, where you're the most content. But of course, 12 years old, you're not really understanding that. You still think in the concrete terms, not really the abstract terms. Story 25, Geraldo, no last name. Now this is a very short vignette featuring Marin. She met him at a dance. pretty too, and young. Said he worked in a restaurant, but she can't remember which one. Geraldo. That's all. Green pants and Saturday shirt. Geraldo. That's what he told her. So, Marin loves to dance, and she goes to dances pretty much wherever and whenever she can. This particular night, she meets this handsome young man who gets hit by a car. And it's a hit and run, meaning that the driver hit the guy and just kept on going. Geraldo has no ID on him, and no one knows anything about this guy except his first name. Marin actually goes to the hospital with him and sits in the emergency room for quite a few hours, just to, I guess, be some kind of support and also to be questioned by the police and doctors. But unfortunately, there's only an intern working in the emergency room, and she can't help but think, well, maybe if the surgeon was there, maybe if the surgeon had gotten there in time, maybe Geraldo, his life could have been saved, or even he could have survived long enough to be able to tell someone who he is, where he lives, just so that his family can know what happened to him. But it was just too late. And an excerpt from page 66. Esperanza writes, "But what difference does it make? He wasn't anything to her. He wasn't her boyfriend or anything like that. Just another brazier who didn't speak English. Just another wetback. You know the kind. The ones who always look ashamed. And what was she doing out at 3 a.m. anyway? Marin, who was sent home with her coat and some aspirin. How does she explain? She met him at a dance. Geraldo in his shiny shirt and green pants. Geraldo going to a dance. What does it matter? They never saw the kitchenettes. They never knew about the 2-room flats and sleeping rooms he rented, the weekly money orders sent home, the currency exchange. How could they? His name was Geraldo, and his home is in another country. The ones he left behind afar away will wonder, shrug, remember. Geraldo, he went north. We never heard from him again." Now, Esperanza doesn't know this guy, but she knows the type, and she gives her audience, us, her readers, a view into one aspect of a Latino's life. This group that Geraldo falls into. He comes to America to earn money to help support his family back home, presumably in Mexico, since they said he went north. Geraldo now has just become another John Doe who no one really cares about because, again, he's just another wetback. He's just another spick that came here illegally